Fox, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, if everybody could stand. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any amendments to the planning committee to order?
Staff does not have any. We'll just have to go through the roll call first, and then we can see if there's any other.
Okay. I pledge allegiance. Drummond is absent and is filling in for her. Kazuki is here. Hargreaves?
Here.
Zachman?
Here.
And Sherber is absent. Okay, so I'll open the floor to the public to participate in an open forum. That's for members to address the commission for any items that are not on the agenda. And it's an opportunity to be heard. Does anybody have an item that's not on the agenda? Okay. Have you submitted a card?
No, I did not know.
That's okay, we don't need it, okay. All right, so those, so that it's an opportunity to be heard, not to debate an issue, and those who are not recognized by the chair should refrain from commenting or interrupting a speaker at the podium, conducting conversations with other members of the audience, or creating any other type of disruption, causing distraction to a member of the commission, city employees, or a speaker at the podium. This will be enforced throughout the meeting, and those who do not abide by these rules will be asked to leave the meeting. Comments are limited to in-person participants, and written comments submitted prior to the beginning of the meeting have been distributed. We don't have that, but you can go ahead and come up to the microphone and state your name and address.
Okay. Good evening, council members and fellow citizens. My name is Mary Frances McBain. I live at 19526 103rd Avenue in Corcoran. And I have three small just things to throw out there for you, things that we kind of have questions on. First, I was wondering if we could get, because it's becoming a problem in the neighborhoods around with all the parks and now that it's summer, is if we could get signs that are, when people come into our neighborhoods from like Amberley and where the new, I guess, Springfield, where the entries into the neighborhood are going to be, saying that people are responsible to pick up their own dog waste. And perhaps some garbage cans for them to deposit, because they're leaving their dog waste in bags if they do pick it up, and then it's just there in a bag. Or they just don't pick it up. So I think that is not a bad request or an idea. Secondly, the park in the middle of the thing, what's the plan on that? When is the start and completion date? What's the target on that? Because right now it's just, now they're digging up dirt and it doesn't seem like it's ever going to start. And thirdly, this is more, it's just mine, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I was working with Caleb from somewhere in here on drainage issues along the side of my house on both sides. And I tried to get a hold of him because Pulte's not super responsive and they're reluctant to address it. And he apparently is no longer around because I get the phone number's not valid and emails don't go through. So if someone could work on that, I can submit a card and with my name and phone number. Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Yes, if you could submit a card, that would be great. That way somebody can get back to you on these issues.
Yeah, if you want to provide your contact information, just on one of the cards up there, you can bring it up here or out front by the window. We have stacks of business cards. You can look for mine. My name is Dwight Klingbeil, the planner with the city, and I can get you in contact with the right people.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Caleb did resign a couple weeks ago, so we have some new staff members in the engineering
Okay,
side of things.
great.
Thank you.
Corcoran will be back.
Did anybody else have any business that isn't on the agenda? All right, then I'll make a motion to close the open forum.
Second.
Oh,
You can have
I can have it.
All in favor?
Aye.
it. Aye.
Then we'll close the forum. The next agenda meeting are the May 7th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting minutes. And I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last, unless anybody has any suggestions or changes to those minutes.
I don't have any edits.
Neither do I.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 7th Planning Commission meeting.
All right,
I can second that.
great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then for new business, there is a public comment opportunity. And we would normally open a public hearing at this time.
Yeah, so that is correct, Madam Chair. So tonight was the originally scheduled date for the public hearing for the Springs at Corcoran development. So that was published in the Crow River News and sent out to every property owner within 500 feet of the development. But in the review process for the proposal, staff found that there's additional information needed before we can conduct a thorough analysis. So there is no report for tonight. The intention is to have this public hearing be tabled for next month's meeting so that we can have a more thorough discussion and have the report ready for the public to view and comment on. But for tonight, there's no report since the information wasn't provided beforehand.
I have a quick question. When would we be able to ask questions about that since it's on the agenda for the 7th of July?
You can certainly email staff with any questions or concerns that you have. Otherwise, Planning Commission's contact information is also on the website and City Council. So we recommend if you want to be in contact with us to reach out.
Okay, so we have to submit the questions prior to.
You don't have to submit the questions prior to. You could also participate in the public hearing on July 7th.
Oh,
All right, so I will open the public hearing, but then I would like to entertain a motion to table the public hearing to the July 7th Planning Commission meeting, since we really don't have the information for the development at this time. So I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Oh, can I ask a question? You had mentioned that it was sent to residences within 500 feet. I'm part of the Rush Creek Villas Association across the street. It was random how people got a letter. Only like 3 or 4 people got a letter. So I don't know what your criteria is, but it wasn't uniform. It wasn't like all people in one building. It was like one here, one there. And other people along the way in the detached townhomes didn't get one at all. So I could see the tax ID number on the top of the envelope, but I don't know what your criteria is for it, but it didn't work very well.
And that may be a fault of the post office. We gather every address for everything that's within 500 feet of the development or of the proposed development. So everyone that's within 500 feet should have received a notice. If they didn't, that may be something that got lost in the postal service.
Okay, so you'll send out another letter, or we just follow it?
So
on your website?
if it's tabled tonight, it would be scheduled
Okay,
definitively for the 7th.
okay, thank you.
I do have one question of the time, of the date. Normally this meets on a Thursday, correct?
Yes.
And that's a Tuesday.
Oh, the 7th?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know we've talked about it, Gwen and I, a little bit, but we have got folks in our community who want to be at that conversation, but are plans nearly on top of the holiday weekend, so we're wondering if there's any way to, in the interest of allowing those who have a significant number of people want to be part of that conversation, they're going to be disenfranchised if the meeting happens on Tuesday of that week. Is that a firm date, or is there something we can do
So the planning commission had already voted to reschedule the meeting. It was initially scheduled for that Thursday, but due to the holiday weekend, last month, the planning commission voted to reschedule it to July 7th, a Tuesday. So if folks aren't able to make it by that date, we do accept written comments beforehand, and we do include those into the public record.
All right. We do have petitions, so we will bring that as their voice, I guess, instead.
And if there's questions and not just comments, those can be directed to the city staff also.
Now, we have a petition that addresses the issue. We hope to spend some time having comments.
Okay, great. All right,
Thank you.
thanks. So I will entertain a motion to table the public hearing to the July 7th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. It'll be held at 7 p.m. here at the Corcoran City Hall.
I make a motion.
Second?
Okay, I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the public hearing is closed. The next agenda item is a public hearing on the cannabis zoning
Oh,
ordinance.
that's a typo in that report there. So we are now moving on to the item 7A, Corcoran Economic Development Strategy. Apologies for that, Madam Chair.
Oh, okay.
Could I ask a quick question on from what you mentioned before? You mentioned about the report. Is that going to be made public before the plan commission?
Yep, so just like every other proposed development, staff prepares the staff report that the planning commission reviews, the city council reviews, and that's all published to the city website before the planning commission.
And that would be done how soon before the plan commission meeting?
That would be, typically we try to have it published the Friday, well, I guess this week, or this month, since it's a Tuesday, it would be published likely the Tuesday before. The
But that
exact
would be-
date would be looks like it'd be June 30th is when it'd be published.
Okay, so that would be on the city's website.
Correct.
Thanks.
All right, so the next agenda item is the Corcoran Economic Development Strategy. And we have Mary Bajol from Maxfield Research who will present their report on this.
So it's an interim presentation at this point, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you.
Do you have the,
Yes.
okay, great.
Getting it pulled up real quick here.
Okay,
Apologies for
that's
that.
good. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Madam Chair and Commissioners, it's my pleasure to be here with you this evening to present an interim update as we're moving along with the economic development strategy process for the city of Corcoran. This is to highlight some information. We did present this to the City Council last month, and so we wanted to be able to come and make sure that we presented the same information to you to keep you informed about how we're moving along and some of the highlights of the items that we've identified thus far. So the agenda is to highlight some key findings to date, talking about growth in Corcoran, valuation and budget, fiscal impact analysis, so some preliminary findings and how we're approaching the fiscal impact analysis in this report, competitive position, strengths, weaknesses, and challenges, key development nodes and strategic actions. So some of those things that we are looking at now and going to be looking at as we look at the key development nodes, those nodes were provided to us by the city, and so we'll be going through those. and then preparing for the next wave, that 2050 land use and potential MUSA extension, although we don't know at this point that the Metropolitan Council will allow another MUSA extension for 2050. Next slide. So we looked at a number of different types of strategies that are being used throughout the upper Midwest in terms of economic development. And some of the key trends and items that they're focusing on right now are that consumers are prioritizing experiences, community environment, and livability. So certainly residential development in Corcoran demonstrates this. Businesses are generally taking a broader view when evaluating where to invest and grow. They are paying attention to housing availability, quality of life, and amenities. And I think Corcoran can definitely promote this. One of the other things that I actually heard just today from a local person in the real estate community who was working with an industrial developer, they were doing an analysis of labor shed. So labor shed around the various areas where they were considering to locate. So that is important when thinking about attracting workers to a specific development. Managing growth thoughtfully must be a priority. Infrastructure, transportation, and commercial and industrial development must continue to evolve alongside residential development while preserving the quality of life that residents value. How to work collaboratively with developers to achieve mutual goals. And public-private partnerships, so those are becoming even more prevalent in today's day and age of trying to accommodate new developments, especially with the cost of infrastructure and the cost of development. Tools in the toolbox. So I'll be talking about this a little bit later, but what we're going to be doing is looking at different avenues and different types of resources, financial resources, and potential funding on a regional and state scale that could assist Corcoran with potential future development. So the next slide. So this shows a little bit about Corcoran's recent growth trajectory. As you can see, during the early part of the 2020 to 2030 part, Corcoran is projected to grow significantly on a percentage basis, both in population and in households. And then even post 2030 is projected to grow at double-digit rates over the next 25 years. So I think the question really here is how can Corcoran effectively provide for this growth through infrastructure, services, and amenities that residents will need and want. And also, I think with regards to attracting businesses to the community, this also applies to attracting those businesses as well. Next slide. So sector valuations, commercial, residential, and industrial. So the median home price as of 2026 in Corcoran was $634,000, which is quite high. Land acre estimates, so residential, about $50,000 to $100,000 an acre, non-residential, $200,000 an acre. Some of these, it depends where, if you're within the MUSA or outside of the MUSA, and different types of land uses. And we'll be updating this more specifically with specific land sales in Corcoran. Next slide. So estimated market values by land use in 2025. This data comes from the Minnesota Department of Revenue. So residential homestead, in terms of overall market value, accounts for 65% of the total market values in Corcoran. Residential non-homestead accounts for 15%. Residential apartment, 1.1%. Commercial, only 1.43%. Industrial, 3.1%. Then agricultural residential, 2.46%. And then agricultural residential non-homestead, 6.9%. So, wait, just before we go further. Yeah, so I just wanted to note that commercial and industrial, those uses pay the most taxes in terms of our overall tax structure in the state of Minnesota, and those proportions of market values in Corcoran are some of the lowest at this time. Next slide. So a comparison of estimated market values by land use. So we looked at Corcoran and then looked at some of the neighboring communities such as Medina, Rogers, Dayton, and Plymouth. And what we noticed here is that residential homestead, roughly about the same percentage of residential homestead for these communities as compared to Corcoran. Residential non-homestead, Rogers is quite a bit lower. And then Corcoran compares somewhat similar to Dayton, and then Medina is a little bit higher. Residential apartment, Rogers, of course, has had more multifamily, as had Plymouth, so their percentage there is higher. Commercial, Corcoran's quite low, as is Dayton, and then other communities nearby are higher. Industrial, Rogers, Dayton, and Plymouth are much higher than Corcoran. Actually, Corcoran is similar to Medina, but just a little bit lower. And then, of course, Corcoran has quite a bit of value in terms of agricultural land, much higher than any of the other communities. Next slide. So budget considerations. The ability to retain and attract community investment, including desired types, is highly competitive and directly related to service levels and city infrastructure. Diversifying development to include commercial, institutional, and industrial provides significant advantages in several ways. Greater proximity to jobs, services, and resources, diversification of the tax base to moderate tax impacts and reduce growth in operating costs, mitigates risk from legislative changes in tax policy and market impacts. Cities that do not invest in or defer maintaining or increasing service levels required for growth will be less competitive. Investors and developers are increasingly focused on placing investment in communities that have a demonstrated capacity to provide quality services and infrastructure. Non-residential development frequently identifies development target areas based on population characteristics, income, education level, job skills, age. Corcoran can promote this based on its geographic location. Infrastructure, including streets, water, sewer, stormwater control that is in place or staged for construction, reduces risk to development and long-term additional costs. Next slide. So we are completing, as a part of this economic development strategy, a fiscal impact analysis, so looking at what types of development have different impacts on the cost of goods and cost of taxes and the budgetary constraints and infrastructure on services to in Corcoran. And we're going to be using several different methodologies for that, and to identify certain types of methodologies that are best used for different types of decision-making processes when you're looking at different types of developments. Residential development pays a lower tax rate, especially for single family, but service usage is higher than for non-residential development. Commercial and industrial development produces almost double the tax revenue of residential, but requires less service usage. Calculations, so these are some of the different types of calculations: cost of community services, per capita multipliers, and we're going to be providing specific examples as we move along this process. Can become part of the annual budgeting process. So when the community is looking at, again, at different types of development and the budgets for long-term spending and financial resources, it can assist the community and staff in determining different situations for types of development. It can also guide land use planning and economic development strategies. Next slide. So this is just one example of a fiscal impact calculation. This is a proportional cost from new development. That's one of the methodologies. And it's based on total municipal expenditures and then multiplied by the proportion of non-residential value versus residential value. And then that allocates to a total amount of expenditures attributed to that, and along with the value of new development. So then the value of the existing non-residential development, and then the proportional increase in non-residential development that would be accounted for by this specific project and then total expenditures in the budget attributed to that non-residential use. And so then it identifies a specific cost allocated to a new facility. So this one is relatively simplistic, but we're going to be presenting some more specific analyses as we go along. The output is best used with uses that fit current development patterns that would not trigger excessive demands on municipal services. Next slide. Competitive position in the Northwest Metro. So land available for development, but constrained by large amount of agricultural land that is not within the MUSA. It has a very high quality of life, a need for redevelopment, focused development at key development nodes. We'll be talking about those. Adding rooftops, but new retail development is currently focused on adjacent cities. And we're going to be looking at how to increase awareness of the specific areas that Corcoran does have for development and how that can add to goods and services that residents are looking for and may need in their community. Next slide. So with the key development nodes, so there's been, I want to say there's 6 of them that have been identified in various locations within the city. Some are more focused on commercial, some are mixed use. A couple of them are more industrial focused. And so each of them has a little bit different area and will have a different strategy associated with them. So we're reviewing and analyzing options for redevelopment, rezoning, and or re-guiding of some properties. What are the best options for redevelopment or development and how to accomplish that? What uses can be attracted to particular nodes that do not need direct major arterial access? I think this is important, especially for commercial uses, because typically they want high visibility, high traffic volumes. But that plays into the idea that there are a lot of county roads here in Corcoran, and there are limited areas right now that are guided for commercial development. So we need to be strategic about how we look at those for the short-term future. Would those uses be complementary with existing uses or in conflict? What land parcels are currently ripe for development and how to promote those? Next slide. So we can go to the next slide. So key development node 1 is we're calling it the historic district. So this is the area right down the road at County Road 116 and 50. Not 30. I'm sorry, I get those two mixed up. Yes, County Road 50 and 116. And that is, we have a fairly significant, the purple is industrial, so we have a fairly significant older industrial segment there, along with commercial, as well as a new kind of mixed use area that we'll talk a little bit about that later. And then we have a planned unit development area along with public and institutional area, which is the blue. Next slide. So key development node 2 is what we're calling the gateway. That's up in the northeast corner of the city, and right now it is developing with some industrial uses, so that's primarily the purple. Then that pink is again mixed use, and then single family, R2, single family residential 2 is the yellow, and then again the green planned unit development, the lime green, sorry. And then of course the darker green is urban reserve. Next slide. So node 3 is a rural commercial industrial node. So as you can see there, that is generally retail and commercial along with traditional rural commercial. Next slide. Key development node 4 is a future node. Again, that is west of County Road 101. We have general mixed use, as well as again, the lime green planned unit development, and then the public and institutional. So the public and institutional area along with the mixed use is the Hope development area. And then just to the east of that is the much larger area that is general mixed use that can include both higher density residential along with business, commercial areas. Next slide. So development node 5 is again the downtown mixed use. So that area has been guided and planned for quite some time, and that area would accommodate, again, different varying levels of residential as well as commercial development. Next slide. And this is in the very southwest corner of the city, key development node number 6. So we have here, we have community commercial area, we have some light industrial, and then medium density residential. So preparing for the next wave, 2050 land use, which that planning process will start to occur next year. So the current focus will be on land within the MUSA and strategic use of current resources. So what additional costs need to be considered and additional resources needed as land would be potentially added to the MUSA. So I think what we're going to be focused on right now is how much land is currently available within Corcoran for the short term, and by short term, I guess, meaning out to 2040, and considering that there may not be a MUSA extension, so that land and within the MUSA right now, how can that, and under its current guided uses, how can that best be developed in different areas? So again, thoughtful development and expansion of resources to diversify and grow responsibly, a greater focus on non-residential development, primarily to support the tax base and reduce additional burdens on residential development, and how to attract that in the short term. Next slide. Oh, that's the last slide, sorry. Sometimes I put a question and answer thing in there, but I didn't. So other questions, questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What came first, the zoning map or the development strategy plan that I'm seeing here? What came first?
So what we've shown are the current zoning.
Okay.
So it's not guided land use, it's what those areas are currently zoned as.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at all of those, the current zoning. We're also matching that against the guided land use, and then looking at any differences in there between the current zoning, what's being projected for guided land use. We're also looking at if there's traffic improvements to different roadways, we're also factoring that in as well.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm, sure.
All right. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
So this was just a presentation for the Planning Commission tonight, but there will be an economic development strategy open house on June 9th. And it'll be in the same room at 5 o'clock.
Actually,
Or is it 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Apologies, 6
Yeah,
o'clock.
6 to
yeah.
7:30.
And it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I got my time right.
And June 9th is a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
All right, we really don't have anything else on the schedule today, so I would make a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, or do I have a
can
second?
that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned.